wanted to share an idea I had several years ago, and it's a little scientific, but here it is. And if anybody decides to use this idea, um, I would like to be a part of the project. Uh, somehow help document its progression. But in a nutshell, I'm going to explain the clean, perpetual, infinite energy idea that I stumbled upon. For some time, I've known from my science education, let's say, that the Earth is spinning around from west to east at the speed of about 1,000 miles an hour. It's actually just over that. And the reason this can be scientifically proven is that the Earth is 25,000 miles around from point to point. That's the circumference of the Earth is approximately 25,000 miles. And the Earth, as we all know, makes a full rotation in 24 hours. So the math clearly indicates that the Earth must be traveling at over 1,000 miles an hour. And this helps you to understand why the rocket ships we send into orbit and other things like any satellite deliveries, anything like that, have to go with the flow when they exit the Earth, and they have to do the opposite when they return. It's just like getting on and off a freeway on-ramp or off-ramp. You never want to get on a freeway going the wrong way. And that's the reason when they leave the atmosphere of the Earth, they want to be going with the flow. Now, what I have to say is fairly simple, really. But if you start going up into space from the Earth, when you reach about 10 miles or so, I've heard some research indicates less than 10 miles, but you don't have to go particularly high up into our atmosphere before you start hitting the winds. And the reason you don't feel the wind on the ground, of course, is because the atmosphere is moving with us. That's why we don't have 1,000-mile-an-hour wind blowing. But you don't have to go too far up before you start hitting those winds. And those winds are perpetual. They're constant. And for all we know, they're eternal, infinite. So we all know about windmills, and the idea I had involved wind turbines that are suspended above the Earth on tethers that could deliver the electricity. It's really very simple. And right away you'd say, well, what about airplanes? Well, they could be equipped with beacons, lights, beacons. It's just like tall buildings or something where a plane, has to watch out if they're flying at that elevation. And of course, the planes will be flying below that elevation. I was studying this a little bit. I did find out that some of these airliners, they try to get up and kind of use those winds. They get up there pretty high, some of them. And they've got to be starting to hit some of those winds. But they only do it, of course, when they could go with the flow. So, any little tidbit of information there. But anyhow, you understand how this works. So the way you get them up there in the first place, because you could hoist very heavy payloads with dirigibles. So what you need is workhorse-style dirigibles, and they could be made any size. You want to pick areas that are open so that you have plenty of room to work, and the dirigibles could be built on site of where they're going to be installed. Everything could be set up on site, And I admit it's a big expenditure, but they say we're looking for ways to create jobs, and we're looking for clean energy alternatives. So here's one. So you can hoist the turbines up into the elevation you want by these dirigibles. And the way you would suspend these wind turbines 10 miles up, let's say, would be with aerodynamics by using glider-like wings, like a kite. And that's basically it. It all have to be calculated, have to have some damn good engineers working on the project, but nevertheless, it's all physics and science, and it could work. And it's really very simple when you think about it. So you could have a grid of these things around the Earth, and as far as aesthetics go, you're really not going to see anything unless you're really close. You're probably not even going to see the cable, and of course the turbines 10 miles up, I don't think you could perhaps see them with a telescope, but if aesthetics were an issue, then perhaps there could be something to beautify the transmission cables. And also about the transmissions cables, since you're going to probably need some maintenance on the turbines occasionally, I imagine you're going to need to add grease to the moving parts, so to speak. You could have work shaft, an elevator perhaps that goes up, and everything. I mean, there'd be so much electricity coming out of these things. Could you imagine a perpetual 50-mile-an-hour wind with a series of relatively small turbines? I mean, they could be, who knows, 50 feet wide, but you get a series of large turbines up there, spinning with the force of a 50-mile-an-hour wind even, because you don't want to get up too high and get the wind too strong. I think it would be a little more hazardous the higher the wind is. So you want something manageable, and I believe 50-mile-an-hour wind is a manageable wind. And, a constant 50 has got to generate one buttload of electricity. And so really, that's, in a nutshell, that's the idea I have. And if anybody wants to use it, I think it's great. And I know there's a lot of suppressed clean energy technology. I'm no scientist myself, but I think any layman gets some good ideas, and that's all it was, really. I just, in thinking about it, I thought, my God, there's all this wind energy up above us that's going to complete waste when it really wouldn't be that difficult, and it's definitely conceivable with the technology we have today to make something like this happen. Now, since I've had this idea and I've talked about it to various people, I did find out that I'm not the first, that there is other people that have had similar type ideas. But I'm telling you that this is my original idea, and this is how I would suspend the wind turbines in space, is with a series of glider-like wings, and much like a kite. And so the whole thing can be calculated, and the research and development can begin at any time an investor seizes it and decides to go with it. And like I said, all I would like to do is be contacted and to be a part of the documentation of the research and development or any progress that might be made on the project.